probably evolution, like you said,
I
Alex.
wonder if you saw that on my YouTube because I just had a little mini chat like this with myself and this lovely audience. I've heard from a very reliable, I think maybe it was with Rachel on the Patreon. I've heard from a reliable source that things are coming down the pike from Mr. Cohn. More suits and
Well, I
Bravo.
heard. Unfortunately, I'd heard this from a TikToker. I'm not on your Patreon, but I know
Excuse me? Excuse me? Honey, we might have
got
to
this for
stop
free.
these.
I got this for free on TikTok.
You're lucky, babes. You get this for free too. You get this right here for free, as do all these wonderful people, except for those that pay for the bonus show.
Bonus show is worth it. You
I
have good
mean,
Jersey juice. Okay, speak to me about the cancellation of ReWives this week. Did I not call this? All our fabulous listeners, did I not say? Maybe I just said this to David behind the scene, but I
when did
said
you
this
say it? Let me
is,
tell you what. Tell
is
us what
going
you
to
said.
I said this is going to be the year of the great podcast cancellation for a lot of people because they're not going to know how to weather, you know, what's going on behind the scenes for people that don't know is Apple did a whole reshift in the fall of their downloads. So when you subscribed to a show 5 years ago, you downloaded that show every day automatically and it counted towards our downloads. Then in the fall, they reshifted and they basically said, if you don't listen to that episode within X amount of time, we consider you a non-subscriber to the show. So really, they're really measuring the people that are
That
mostly engaged,
actually are listening, right?
actually engaged, are actually listening. So by the way, people need to go and resubscribe to our show and listen every day, even if it's for like 2 minutes. Behind the Velvet Rope, the Sarah Fraser Show. Go and click subscribe for us right now. We love you guys. We want to keep giving you amazing content.
You know
So
why? I mean, I hate to throw threats around here. I'm very hungover today, by the way. I mean, look, the model is still, I think anyone that has a Patreon only is a fucking moron. That is not the podcast model. You and I are gonna
yeah,
announce some things soon that we're talking about in our pod, but that's not the model. But I mean, eventually, if you want to change the whole model that much, guess what? I'll do no fucking free shows. I'll go have a Patreon only, but that is not the way to go at this point. But everyone, so Sarah's asking you, and I'm just threatening. Like I'll just take the whole fucking thing away and just go, and they'll all. That's it. I'm gonna go live my life, and it will all be unpaid shit unless you
really,
listen.
he's really
Download.
hungry. Two T's have gone all in. They're doing new shows. But in the meantime, Ramona has canceled her show with her daughter. They stopped
Correct.
hosting shows back in November, December. Margaret Joseph's hers stopped. Our girl Candy Gal from RHOP had one. That's all ended. And now ReWives has gone away. I'm sure there are others that our listeners will remind us are no longer on. So I have two theories on ReWives being canceled. What are yours?
And I'm very sorry that the Saj, my friend Maj, the Saj, I'm sorry that hers is no longer producing. I was on the Sages. Some call her Miss Josephs. I call her Maj the Saj. Why? Well,
Oh,
Bethenny, yeah.
Larsa Pippins, they have no longer. Now, some people do a season, but Larsa and Marcus, I think they recorded a couple of episodes. Let me double check, but
That
I do
never
not.
really got off the ground. Everyone's going to say, well, they broke up and they're back to now. I mean, their podcast is kind of phased out, guys. Listen, it's really hard to have a podcast. You and I have said this. I mean, I'm in 5 years here. 5 years is an official legacy podcast. And let me just rephrase, as hard as it is to have a podcast, it's hard to be in year 5 and actually make money. So we have succeeded. We are successes in this genre. I don't know how. I don't even know how.
Larsa, unfortunately, separation anxiety looks as though it recorded its last episode on 11/23/2023, unfortunately.
Time of death. Just call
Now,
it.
granted, Marcus Jordan is Michael Jordan, who's worth probably $5 billion son. So I don't know that there's a lot of financial.
Well, that's why Pippin, might be a little bit interested in this younger gentleman. I mean, honey, I think there's a lot of other reasons she's interested too, if you know what I'm saying. But what's your theory? I mean, look, Bethenny, in typical Bethenny fashion, has put out a statement that she is the problem. Bethenny has announced that she is the problem. And here she is launching a reckoning, and she is toxic as fuck, I think she said about herself. That sitting there and stirring the pot and talking about Teresia's table flip. And please don't let it be about Tom. Well, it is about Tom, honey. And the sisters, the Richards, and the car. You stole my house. And that Amsterdam trip. You're a beast, Eileen Davidson says. Ah, how dare you? And then Lisa Rinna smashes a glass. Don't you ever talk about my husband. Kim was implying Harry was gay. We all know that. We've heard that out there. Um, Look, what do I think? You want my opinion? You'll give me your opinion. I
Yes,
think that
why?
Bethenny, I think that Miss Frankel is a total spin doctor. That Bethenny Frankel would never, ever in her life, her arm would have to fall off before she thought she was too toxic to walk away from something if it was making money in the business world. You failed, and that's okay, Bethenny. You have done very well for yourself with Skinny Girl. You are a very smart businesswoman. You have made a ton of, I am not taking any of that away. We all have failures when we increase our portfolio. This particular thing failed in your portfolio. You failed at ReWives. It's okay. You can say those words. This is the biggest spin I've ever seen, that she's too toxic to talk about this shit. But on your other podcast, you're going to interview like Nene Leaks and this one and that one. Bullshit. You failed. So I think it's a whole spin that she's so toxic she had to cancel herself. You made $1 and you don't want to do it for free. Bethenny, I got you. I ain't doing this for free either. When this Behind the Velvet Rope doesn't make money, I'm just going to say I fucking quit. Just be honest. Go on.
Uh, she's going to need our tips. She should have called us, but
She should have.
interesting. I have two theories. One is that
Oh.
it did not make any money, which is why it's going away. Because her, she had this whole verbal diarrhea spiel of how I've realized it's toxic, and she goes on and on and on about how could she do this, but I also have another theory, which is
Okay.
I think it made a little bit of money, maybe enough to pay the producer every month.
Yeah, it definitely made something because it charted and right.
But
Sure.
back to my point of Rachel Leviss, can Rachel keep her podcast and pursue these lawsuits that she's doing?
Mm.
I believe Miss Frankel is behind a lot of the Brandy. We know that the reality reckoning is really of taking down Andy Cohen. I don't believe she can be out there advising Brandy, advising Rachel, which they are allegedly very close, when she has a podcast that is all about, you know, toxicity and trashing everybody and all that stuff. And then she's advising these people to sue Andy for his alleged behavior in trashing people and wanting them to do cocaine and all this stuff. She can't be capitalizing and making money off of all that toxicity, and then also
Interesting.
being the backbone to advising these women on taking him down. And this, I guess reality reckoning is still alive. Because I do not think, unless there was a legal reason or a legal perception reason that's coming